Hi, I'm Jim Berggren, pastor at Holy Cross Lutheran Church, and this is the sermon for Transfiguration Sunday in the A series, which is the 15th of February, 2026. Matthew 17, 1 to 9. Listen to him. Transfiguration is nothing more than the miracle of hearing with new ears, seeing with new eyes. Transfiguration is suddenly finding yourself, having been transported from where you were in a normal day to the sweet spot. An athlete might say, in the zone. A person of spiritual understanding might say, a moment in eternity. Time stands still, and the common and usual becomes divine, holiness and awe. It was a normal day. And then, words aren't adequate. It's when instead of seeing the obvious grit in life, we see the pearl being formed. If you clean out all the oysters all the time, you'll never get pearls. How about that? We have a vision of what that acorn is going to be, a million times bigger than what it is. It's where the common, which truly is holy, is finally seen for the miracle that it is. You can practice for these moments. Sometimes I've given homework to classes I've taught from confirmation to community college. It's an exercise in shifting perception. Confirmation kids, they're at an age, it's such an awkward developmental stage. Everything is changing. Their bodies, their relationships to parents and peers and siblings, their frustrating drive for independence, and their aggravating for them dependence. One of the words I've heard them say to describe their experience is annoying. Annoying. It's a great word. I understand. During times of big changes and displacement, sometimes people and places and things get annoying. Sometimes we're annoying to ourselves. So the homework simply is identify two really annoying things in your life this week and bring them back to class to discuss them. Just two. Write down the annoying thing. Try and see a bigger purpose in it. Try to see maybe God's image or God's action, God's will in annoying things. Ask yourself, what could the universe possibly be saying to me? Be curious about what annoys you. That's a growth point. If it annoys you, something's happening. When you do this, your life will probably start feeling better, may even start working better. Witness the examples in the gospel lesson. Jesus, the daily travel companion, becomes someone divine and inexplicably, unspeakably transcendent. His dusty, sweat stained, road worn clothes are dazzling white. Elijah and Moses, representing the law and the prophets, uh, reputedly have been dead for a long time, and hopeless issues to the disciples. Yet, in their disintegrating and corrupt progressive Roman culture, how can you feel otherwise? Nobody cares about history or Moses or Elijah, and yet with Jesus, they are alive and vital and more relevant than ever. Peter, terrified and confused, becomes Peter, listening to God's wonderful validation of Jesus from a translucent cloud. Not able to see, they must hear the voice of God. Listen to him. In our own worlds, transfiguration is constantly available as we begin to hear God's affirmation through the ears of faith. Like Peter, James, and John, we get distracted with impressive visual effects. Who can't want to freeze frame the moment on a clear, dazzling mountaintop day with an all star cast for a holy performance? Who wouldn't want to go back there and have that again, that ecstatic moment, and replay it? It's the addict's dilemma, actually. That first high, so astounding, the person spends a lifetime doing it over and over and over again, trying to repeat something that cannot be repeated. relive what is only a one-time perspective. That poor person will judge all life on a false scale of one impressive, temporary event. All of the living might get discounted. I helped a young couple once with their wedding ceremony, which was to occur on a 14,000-foot Notch Mountain overlook, the even higher Mount of the Holy Cross. They had a dream of a wedding day transfiguration. I mean, it was already a transfiguration before it even happened. The location was 4 miles and 4,000 feet above the last trailhead you could drive to above Minturn, Colorado. Then, if you were in good shape, you had a 4-hour uphill hike ahead of you. We arranged to meet at the summit at noon, since they were planning to start the day before and camp on the trail overnight. I started out briskly, rhythmically breathing, to a soaring guitar melody of Joe Satriani playing Flying in a Blue Dream over my headphones. To my left was a steep drop-off to an ancient volcanic scree field. And the sun, there it was, struggling to pull itself free on the eastern horizon from the Gore Mountain Range. At 9, my dog, Cleo, went crazy, darting around, snarling and barking. I slapped my headphones off. I was on high alert, adrenal glands cramping. I thought she'd rousted a bear. Thank goodness. Well, kinda. It was only the wedding party. Still 3,000 feet from the summit. Just waking up. It took 6 more hours and a lot of cussing and yelling and grumbling. And whose idea was this anyway? Imprecations and snarky comments. There were moments of livid anger and frustration. I was convinced this ceremony is never going to happen, but it's been a nice hike anyway. They stopped often to catch their breath. Once they got some oxygen in their brain and got rested a little bit, they'd say, "I'm sorry, I love you. Let's get moving." Remarkably, they listened to each other. We got to the top for the ceremony, just in time for afternoon, high-altitude, daily thunder and lightning storms. It was a dangerous time and place to stand on top of a bare mountaintop. I was so thrilled that the storms actually moved north of us and didn't interact. The visuals were amazing. Even better, God spoke. They listened. They're still listening in their 3rd decade of married life. Sandburrs at the beach. What a nuisance. A month after the beach trip, you'll find a hitchhiking sandburr in an article of clothing that has been washed and dried several times already. That's annoying. A poet, look at that little spur and marvel. Look how nature attaches itself to humanity and spreads its genetic material, sandburr love, throughout the world. An engineer looks at that little spur and its tenacity with a microscope. 11 years later, he's coming up with a new thing called Velcro. Still not as good as a sandburr, but close. Transfiguration is possible all the time with all things. It's cool. It's a perceptual shift away from where we are on a normal day. The loss of joy in daily life is attended by fixed perceptions instead of fluid listening assessments of the world around us. One of the reasons for trouble in relationships is we get stuck seeing each other one way only. This annoying mannerism, that way of saying things, that one big issue or big incident becomes the standard for future interactions. No, the prognosis is not good. We see only one thing and we quit listening for more. Quit deciding so fast. God says, listen to Him. Listen to Jesus. Old assumptions and reflex perceptions ignore the transfigurations in life all around us. He's come to give us new life, not the repetitive stasis of habit, but novel and new ways to rejoice and serve. Like Simon Peters, the transitory vision is very compelling, and the internal narrative tries to control reality. But it's God's reality. Listen to him. Prayer is listening, not making speeches to the debate coach. To enjoy transfiguration, we need to rise above the limitations of human vision and ideas, to hear things as they really are. When someone doesn't greet you, don't imagine they're an enemy. When you have the sniffles, don't decide it's pneumonia. When you're having difficulties with someone, don't anticipate that you'll never hear each other's point of view. Stop imagination so you can live happily in reality. Listen to reality. Hear the glory of the present moment. Tell I'm grateful for the little gifts I've been given. God can't trust me with the great gifts he wants to give. The glory and grace of the transfiguration is God has placed us in the midst of constant opportunity to perceive his world, emerging in wonder and joy. Listen to him as he renames and redeems our lives. In The Man of La Mancha, Don Quixote lives in a strange world, seeing stuff nobody else sees, fighting battles that make people scratch their head. Maybe we all do something like that. Huh? Through all of this, he's in love with Aldonza, the prostitute, whom he devotedly calls my lady Dulcinea. She treats this name, with dismissal. She thinks she knows for sure who she is. She can't understand herself that way. She faithfully ministers to Quixote as he dies, and after his passing, someone addresses her as Aldonza, and she gently corrects him. Now my name is Dulcinea. That's who she becomes. Quixote's devotion and love transfigures her life and redeems her, and she listens to him. Jesus' devotion and love transfigures, redeems our lives. Let's listen to him. Amen.